Hey guys, so today we want to do a slightly different kind of review. We just saw Edge of Tomorrow, and we decided that we really wanted to talk about Edge of Tomorrow and how it compares to the book that it's based on, All You Need Is Kill. Now, I feel like a lot of people might not really know about All You Need Is Kill.
Yeah.
It's actually a Japanese sci-fi book. It's not one that I think a lot of people have read, but they should because it's really good.
Yeah, it's published by the company Haikasaru that actually brings a lot of Japanese books to American audiences, which is really awesome. But All You Need Is Kill is one of the major ones that, as we said, was clearly turned into the Tom Cruise movie Edge of Tomorrow. Okay, so the character in All You Need Is Kill is a new recruit, like essentially a 17-year-old Japanese kid named Keiji Kiriya.
Yes.
And we were like, wait, you're saying Tom Cruise is supposed to be the new recruit Japanese kid?
Yeah, exactly. But you know, I think they actually did a really great job of making it so it was a little different. We're going to be talking about both the movie and the book in detail, so if you haven't seen the movie or you plan on reading the book and don't want anything spoiled, I don't think we'll talk about the endings.
No, we're not going to talk about the endings. You know, I will tell you that they are different from one another.
Yeah, but if you don't want those spoiled, then maybe you shouldn't watch this. Maybe you should just wait and like see the movie and read the book. I think if you see Edge of Tomorrow and then read All You Need Is Kill, I don't think anything's going to get ruined for you because they are very different.
They make some really interesting changes that don't really change the meaning of things, but at the same time move things in a different direction that makes everything still make sense.
Let's talk about some of the stuff they changed. So obviously Tom Cruise's character, like we said, is different. In this one, he is like a PR guy. He's a major, but he's a PR guy, and essentially they're going to put him on the front line, so he decides that it's maybe a good idea to blackmail the general. So basically, he got arrested and then thrown in with the fresh troops. And I think it's funny because he's actually certainly much more of a scoundrel than Keiji Kiriya in the book.
Yeah, Keiji is just a young recruit. He's just a young guy who joined the United Defense Force in order to help protect the world as much as any of them can.
In the book, All You Need Is Kill, it is still the United Defense Force like it was in the movie, but it all takes place in Japan. Most of the main characters are Japanese except for Rita, who's actually American. And in this movie now, of course, it takes place in Europe, but the main character is American, and Rita Vertowski's character, who Emily Blunt is playing, she is English, just like Emily Blunt is. I don't mind that they change it. It wouldn't have been bad to base it in Japan or maybe have a actual character who was Japanese who was important to the movie.
I
really wasn't
agree,
a lot of that.
But really, I mean, there's only two important characters, and that is Keiji and Rita, or in this case,
but
Bill and Rita.
But this was, you know, and this doesn't really have anything to do with the book, but this was very much like all the white people are saving the world type sci-fi movie.
But I mean, that's one of the interesting things in the book. You know, this is a Japanese book where even in this, it's like the Americans come in to save the day. That's like, I mean, that is in the Japanese book.
It's true. It's very true. Now, I think one of the big things that they definitely change is the mimics. They still call them the mimics, these aliens. But in the movie, they're like these crazy robot spinny octopuses. Right? In the book, they describe them as sort of bloated dead frogs. When I read the book, honestly, I kept on thinking of the mimics as those little guys from Despicable Me. Which,
that's funny.
Yeah, and it was weird because, except much uglier. But it was funny because they almost seemed like both terrifying, but also terrifying that they weren't scary looking.
Well, it's kind of like the Blob.
Yeah, it's like the Blob, or like Majin Buu from Dragon Ball Z.
But I have to say, you know, in the book, so you've got these mimics, they're these, like you said, bloated, dead frog-looking things that would hurl these javelins. And I never quite was able to picture how that worked, how these giant bloated frog things were able to hurl these javelins that were, like, taking out, like, tons of people, you know.
I always figured they were sort of like nails in a Jell-O mold. You know, just kind of shoots a nail out.
But it's still sort of hard to picture exactly what it would be like. Whereas, you know, with these, they use their tentacle-y things, which, you know, was obviously way more visually interesting. Well, no, the bloated frogs would have been more visually interesting, but this was visually cool.
Yeah, this is like so slick in Hollywood. And there is, I would say that is the one thing about this movie. There are the slick Hollywood moments, and it definitely had more of a Hollywood ending, certainly than the book. And also, they don't really explain the mimics. In the book, the mimics are basically these creations of this other extraterrestrial group that essentially send these things out to terraform planets so that they can take over.
Right.
They don't really explain anything about the mimics in the movie. I mean, they're obviously aliens here to kill us and take over, but there's really no more story than that.
It's true, but at the same time, when you and I discussed this, you brought up a good point that in the book, it's really an omniscient narrator that tells you these things, and you don't have that in the movie. You have everyone that's experiencing it, but you don't have that all-knowing force.
And also, there was this great character in the book, Shasta, and she was the brains. She was sort of Rita's brainy sidekick, her Willow, if you will, and she was like the MIT grad who was the tech nerd. They didn't have that this time. It was like this British guy, but he was the one who figured out like what's going on in the movie.
And he was the MIT grad.
Yeah.
Well, now the thing is that Shasta also had a lot to do with Rita's axe, which is a huge part of the book, a really important part, and not so much an important part of the movie. In the movie, it's more something that like defines her and something that like really shows how cool she is. But they don't really explain the importance of the axe. Which
in the movie, she has her sword. Yeah.
In the book, though, she has this battle axe, and to be perfectly honest, this is the one thing that I wish that they sort of included within the movie, because I think it was something that not only was something that could have been visually striking and cool, but also made a lot of sense. The reason that she carried around this giant heavy battle axe is because the best way to kill the mimics was to use blunt force, essentially, to bash them, to smash them, to hit them with the axe. Because bullets barely did anything. It took like 10 guys to take out one mimic. But a sword, a battle axe, never runs out of bullets.
It's funny, the book All You Need Is Kill, the mimics in that compared to the mimics in Edge of Tomorrow, they felt more vulnerable in Edge of Tomorrow, because they even said in the book All You Need Is Kill, it takes 10 soldiers to kill one mimic. Mm-hmm. And Tom Cruise is like running around, annihilating them. And obviously, he did that when he had all of his Groundhog Day, replay of the events over and over again. But
again, I mean, there you go again. In the book, he realized how important it was to have this battle axe, and so he started training with it, because that's the other thing. The battle axe is like, nobody could just pick up the battle axe and start using it. He had to go through a bunch of different days in order to practice with it and be able to use it.
Only he who is worthy can pick up the battle axe.
Yeah. Can wield the Valkyrie's battle axe. Yeah.
That I gotta say was a sticking point for me, that they didn't call her the Valkyrie.
Yeah.
The fact that they called her like the Angel of Verdun or something like that. That to me is like so boring. Now
but at least they kept in Full Metal Bitch.
I love that. Yeah, that was her sort of nickname. Everyone called her in the UDF, and in the book, All You Need Is Kill, and luckily they retained that in the movie. It was interesting. There was a lot of cool things going on in the book that wasn't really going on. Like, for instance, in the book, I love the whole thing with how there were movies being made of the battles, and Rita met the actress who played her, and other little cool things like that.
Brendan Gleeson, in his office, he had like what clearly looked like a jacket jockey action figure.
Yes, exactly, yeah. I think overall, the little things that we miss are always something that's going to happen when you adapt a book into a movie.
Absolutely.
And just the fact that it's a good movie is like all you can really hope for.
Absolutely, yeah. The things that they took out, the things that they changed, they don't really hurt the movie. Like I said, I wish that they'd kept the battle axe stuff, because I think that was, like I said, smart and important.
Yes.
But it's not necessary per se.
Well, especially because Keiji also got one in the book too, and it was badass because it made the action in the book feel like it was almost like Game of Thrones or Lord of the Rings, where they're like hauling around these. Basically, they were giant slabs of metal that were like 100 pounds, and they were just to crush things. I mean, it was like cavemen stuff.
Yeah.
They're in these high-tech suits, like, fighting these high-tech aliens, and they're using the most primitive weapon possible, basically.
Absolutely.
They made it apparent in the book that Keiji realized why Rita had her axe was because he was running out of ammo. Everyone runs out of ammo, and these things are so damn hard to kill. I really liked the Rita character in the movie, but I felt like her character was less interesting in the movie. I feel like they did take away a lot of stuff from her character that made her interesting to develop more of a character for Tom Cruise's character, which frankly, Keiji isn't a super interesting character in the book, mostly because he's sort of supposed to be us.
Yeah.
He's supposed to be the person kind of thrown into this craziness, and so it's all very day-to-day for him.
Yeah.
He doesn't really have much of a background. And I felt like there was a lot of cool stuff with Rita in the book that there really wasn't in the movie.
You just don't have time to really get into anyone's backstory. The only reason that you get the Bill Cage's backstory is because he tells a little of it to when he's trying to blackmail the general.
There are a few differences in how the mimics are, and sort of this Alpha and Omega thing. Edge of Tomorrow was a little different than sort of the server stuff, but it was very much the same.
Yeah, and the way that they made the changes made it so that it still made sense for the story that they were telling.
Yeah, I would say it's one of the better adaptations of a book I've seen in a long time.
I call it a reimagining because, it's an adaptation, but they really did reimagine a whole lot of it, but still keeping to a lot of the core concepts and some of the best sci-fi aspects of the book.
What's interesting about the book is so much of it is from Keiji's point of view, and then it just flips, and then there's like this another like chunk of chapters that's from Rita's point of view.
Yeah.
And so you feel like Keiji and Rita are like the two main characters of All You Need Is Kill, when I feel like, it's just, William Cage is the main character of Edge of Tomorrow, and Rita is like the side character.
Yeah.
And so, but
I mean, that's how the whole first part of the book feels.
Yeah, exactly.
I think the main thing is that Edge of Tomorrow was actually surprisingly good. I think we both really enjoyed it. But, even more than that, All You Need Is Kill is awesome.
I think it's really worth reading. If you've already seen Edge of Tomorrow, I think you'll really like the differences. And if you want to read this first, it's well worth it.
And you're not going to feel like anything is spoiled for you if you read it.
Yeah, and
vice versa.
Obviously it's been translated into English. Translation's great. It's kind of, in some ways, more epic. I almost say there's more action in the book, if that makes sense, than in the movie.
Well, there are certain moments that are so epically memorable.
Yeah, I was very impressed by this adaptation. I feel like people should read All You Need Is Kill, and it really is one of the best Tom Cruise movies I've seen in a long time. Okay,
guys, so thanks for watching. If you guys both read the book All You Need Is Kill and saw the movie Edge of Tomorrow, let us know how you think they compare and which one you think is better.
Definitely, and if you want to listen to our radio show around every week on Indie 100 and The Point.
And if you want to get in touch with us, send us an email to geekworldradio@yahoo.com, and be sure to check out our website, geekworldradio.com.
All right, Anime, I think we're going to have to do this again. Time to restart the loop.